This is video number 3 in our IFR Sim Challenge series. We're continuing our flight from Waukesha, Wisconsin to Eau Claire, Chippewa Valley Airport. You can check out the first 2 videos as well as the rest of them at the Flight Insight website at the link here or in the description. We're approaching the Coates waypoint, talking to Minneapolis Center on 128.6. We'd like to start planning for our arrival into Eau Claire. Let's get the weather for our destination. We had the ATC frequency programmed into COM2, so we turned that on to get this report. It looks like the weather has gotten worse than when we departed. The ceilings are now reported at just 100 feet. The ILS we looked at in our pre-flight only brings us to 200 feet above the threshold. Since we're Part 91, we're legally okay to attempt the approach to see if we break out before the decision altitude. It might be prudent to divert at this time, but we've got plenty of fuel, so we'll give it a try. Here comes our handoff to the next sector. November 8 Foxtrot Tango, contact Minneapolis Center 125.3. 125.3 Cessna 8 Foxtrot Tango. Minneapolis Center, Cessna 518 Foxtrot Tango, 6000 with Papa. November 518 Foxtrot Tango, Minneapolis Center, Roger, the Eau Claire altimeter 29992, expect ILS runway 22. Expect ILS runway 22, Cessna 8 Foxtrot Tango. So we have an approach assignment. Let's have a look at the approach plate. The ILS-22 has 3 transitions. One at IROC with a hold in lieu of procedure turn depicted, and one each 90 degrees off from IROC, Durden and Menard. Each one indicates no procedure turn is allowed if using those transitions. We weren't assigned a transition by ATC. It wouldn't hurt to ask for one now, or better yet, to request it along with the approach when we first called up our controller. But without clarifying, we'll have to guess for now. Let's say it'll be Menard to the southeast of the hold. We'll load the approach by hitting Proc, then Enter for Select Approach. With the large outer knob on the right, scroll to the ILS and hit Enter. Now we'll scroll to Menard and hit Enter. We haven't been given any instruction yet, just been told to expect the ILS, so we'll just load the approach, which will keep us on the course we already were on to Coates. Let's start briefing the approach. The localizer frequency is on 109.5. That's already set into our COM1 once we load the approach. When we get a bit closer, the unit will ident the station as well. The weather, which we already got, is in COM2 126.02. We're talking to Minneapolis Center now on 125.3. Let's set the tower 118.57 into standby. We also thought ahead and put our alternate weather frequency into COM2 standby. Let's go ahead and flip that active for now in anticipation of having to divert. We're going to put our ground frequency of 120.92 into our COM2. Some people like doing this a bit differently, so it's a personal preference thing. The missed approach has us climbing to 1,600 feet, then making a right turn to track the Eau Claire VOR radial 047 up to 3,500 feet back to IROC for the hold. This means we'll need the Eau Claire VOR tuned on our NAV2 to 113.65. We'll switch the NAV2 mode to VLOC with the CDI button and twist the OBS to 047. The rest of the brief is that we'll proceed to Menard, then fly inbound to IROC, not do the procedure turn and turn inbound, descend to the glide slope intercept of 2,900, and fly that down to the decision altitude of 1,113 feet. A glance at the taxiway diagram shows us the FBO off to the side of runway 22, so we'll exit that way prior to the intersecting runway, which is about 3/4 of the way down the 8,000-foot runway. Now here comes our instruction, and it's a bit of a curveball. November 8 Foxtrot Tango, turn right direct IROC, descend and maintain 4,500. Right direct IROC, descend and maintain 4,500, Cessna 8 Foxtrot Tango. Rather than starting at Menard as we guessed, we're being sent direct to IROC to start the approach. No problem, we go into the unit by hitting FPL, push the cursor, scroll using the big knob to IROC, and hit direct enter enter. Our new desired track is 360, which we turn to as we begin the descent. How does this change our plans? Well, now we should expect to do the procedure turn. Coming from the southeast like we are, we should do a teardrop entry. The problem is the GPS is out of the loop. Look at the flight plan. The sequence is IROC, then Hilpo, the final approach fix. There's no hold after IROC, which is what we want to do because the transition we selected, Menard, has a restriction for no procedure turn. We'll need to reload the approach and select the IROC transition. This is why it's best to coordinate transitions earlier. Once we've reloaded though, we see a hold between IROC and Hilpo. and we can see the teardrop entry depicted. As we get close, we hear our approach clearance. November 8 Foxtrot Tango, 5 miles from Iroque, cross Iroque at or above 3,500, cleared ILS 22. Iroque at 3,500, cleared ILS 22, Cessna 8 Foxtrot Tango. We execute the course reversal by flying about a 360 heading for 1 minute, then making a right standard rate turn around the approach course at 224. After crossing Iroque again, we descend to 2,900, the glide slope intercept altitude. The unit should automatically switch over to VLOC mode and the glide slope needle will come alive, but confirm that it does so. We'll hold 2,900 until approaching Hilpo. The glide slope needle begins to come in, and we configure for the approach and get our tower handoff. November 8 Foxtrot Tango, contact Eau Claire Tower. Over to Tower 8 Foxtrot Tango. Just like departure earlier, the controller won't always give you the frequency for tower, so make sure your brief is complete. Eau Claire Tower, Cessna 518 Foxtrot Tango, ILS runway 22. November 8 Foxtrot Tango, Eau Claire Tower, ceiling is broken at 100 feet, runway 22, clear to land. Runway 22, clear to land, Cessna 8 Foxtrot Tango. The tower isn't giving us any better news about the sky conditions. They're still below the ILS minimums, but we're going to try anyways. As we feared though, we approach the decision altitude of 1,113 feet, don't have the runway lights or environment in sight, and need to go missed. That'll be the topic of our next and final video in the series as we go missed and deal with the diversion to our alternate. Check that out at the Flight Insight website linked here or in the description, and see you then.